The clock on the wall ticked in the silence of 2 a.m. Mark sat at the kitchen table, the only light coming from the harsh glow of his laptop screen. A stack of overdue notices sat beside his hand, the red ink blurring into a jagged, suffocating line. He clicked on his budgeting app, deleted the previous entries, and began typing again. His fingers trembled against the keys. He whispered to the empty room, "Maybe I am just bad at this." He pushed the laptop aside and pressed his forehead against the cold wood of the table. This was the third month of this ritual. He pulled out his phone, the screen unlocking to a photo of his friend, Sarah, on a vacation. He stared at the vibrant colors of her life and felt a sharp, familiar sting in his chest. He compared her ease to his own mounting pile of bills. The weight of the rent increase, the grocery bill, and the mounting car repair costs pressed down on him. He believed he was failing because he was not working hard enough. He decided to skip dinner tomorrow to save $20. He told himself this was discipline. He did not realize he was already trapped in a cycle. The next morning, the office lights felt too bright. Mark walked to his desk, keeping his head down, avoiding eye contact with anyone who passed. He felt like an imposter in a room that demanded focus he no longer possessed. By noon, the spreadsheet on his screen was forgotten. Instead, he spent the afternoon calculating the exact cost of the electric bill against his remaining balance. He did not hear the email notification. He did not see the clock pass the deadline. When the ping finally sounded, it was too late. His boss stood in the doorway, a file folder in hand. "Mark, you seem distracted," the boss said. The words hung in the air, heavy and sharp. Mark looked down at his shoes, the floor tiles blurring under his gaze. He wanted to explain the pressure, the sleepless nights, and the math that never added up, but he said nothing. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. He felt the shame tightening like a knot in his throat, making it impossible to breathe. His boss turned and walked away, leaving the door slightly ajar. Mark sat frozen, staring at the blank screen. The threat was no longer just about money. The office door remained a silent judgment behind him. Mark stepped out into the cool evening air, his pulse still racing from the encounter. He walked 3 blocks, his mind looping through the same impossible math. He stopped at a corner cafe, the smell of roasted beans cutting through the damp city air. He knew he had no room in his budget, but he reached into his pocket and pulled out his last few crumpled bills. He ordered a coffee, the heat of the cup against his palms the only thing that felt real. He took a sip, waiting for the familiar warmth to settle his nerves, but the relief never came. It lasted exactly 10 minutes. As he walked toward the subway, the bitterness of the drink lingered, a sharp reminder of his own recklessness. He had called it discipline to skip meals and count pennies, but as he watched the traffic crawl by, the truth surfaced. This was not progress. This was a slow, deliberate starvation of his own life. He looked at his reflection in a storefront window and saw the exhaustion etched into his features. The cycle was not a test of his resolve. It was a machine designed to keep him running in place. He tightened his grip on the empty cup, the plastic crinkling under his fingers. Back in his apartment, the silence was no longer heavy. It was a blank slate. Mark sat at the table and opened his bank statement. He forced himself to stop reading the numbers as a tally of his own personal failures. Instead, he traced the lines of the rent spike, the interest rates, and the recurring fees. It was a map of a broken system, not a record of his character. He grabbed a pen and a fresh sheet of paper. He wrote one sentence in bold letters: "Identify the highest cost." He stopped trying to fix his entire existence in 1 hour. He took a long, steady breath, feeling the frantic rhythm of his heart finally slow down. He looked at the road ahead, not with the blind hope of denial, but with the cold, sharp clarity of a strategist. He realized he had one move that could change the trajectory of his month. He picked up his phone, his thumb hovering over the landlord's contact. He did not ask for permission. He stated his position. "I need to discuss the rent increase," he said. The person on the other end began to speak, but Mark held his ground, listening for the opening he needed. The fog in his mind did not vanish, but it lifted just an inch. The call ended with a tentative agreement to review the terms. Mark set the phone down on the table. The silence of the apartment was no longer a weight, but a space he could finally inhabit. He stood up and walked to the window, watching the streetlights flicker against the dark pavement. The knot in his throat had loosened. It was not fixed, and the bills remained, but the frantic, suffocating panic had receded. He turned away from the glass and moved toward his bed. For the first time in 3 months, he did not reach for his laptop. He did not calculate. He did not stare at the red ink until his vision blurred. He lay down, the mattress supporting his weight without the usual phantom pressure of his debts. He closed his eyes. The cycle of self-blame had been broken. He let out one long, slow breath, and for the first time, he slept.